Good afternoon, guys. It seems we are the guys who doesn't have the biggest quorum all over, yeah? But it's fine, yeah? So my name is Godfrey, Godfrey Gakungu, or Godfrey Kuria. I'm the operations IT manager or transformation manager for operations within BAT. Have been BAT for the last couple of 6-7 years. And today I wanted we share a case study in terms of how we've been able to transform our supply chain so that we can match with the first world. Next slide. And before this, there is always a disclaimer. We are in an industry that is highly regulated. So the purpose of this presentation is purely not to talk about our products, advertising, or promotion. The government does not allow us to do that. So here, for the purpose of this presentation is purely to talk about the technologies that we've implemented about BAT. All right, our gentleman has gone, yeah? If we can, next, okay. Oh, sorry. So we can also go next. This is the agenda that we want to cover. But I think before we get into the case study, I just wanted to bring something about BAT. We have changed our strategic narrative and the purpose. We are now a purpose-led organization that we are talking about a better tomorrow. And the purpose for us to talk about a better tomorrow is it's a 100-plus-year-old company, and everyone knows BAT is just a tobacco company. But we want to change that narrative, and what we want to do is to be able now to focus into our consumers and also on our products. And we are going to do that by reducing the health impact of our business through offering greater choices of enjoyable and less risky product. So right now, our purpose, the new strategy, the new purpose is for a better tomorrow. And better tomorrow, we are talking from our mission in terms of the product, the consumers, in terms of the key areas that we feel that we must win within for us to be able to get there, to be able to deliver a better tomorrow purpose, and also to help us engage with our consumers, our society, our employees, at the same time our shareholders. So we are trying to change our image. And the whole goal is to move from being a tobacco company to be a consumer product company that is consumer-centric. So in the near future, I am sure maybe you've had products that are beyond tobacco, that are now in nicotine, and also we want to focus beyond nicotine in the next couple of years. And by default, supported by our ethos, bold, fast, empowering, diverse, and responsible. Now, for us to be able to talk about what you've done, so if you look at our context, BAT is a global company, has been there for 100 years plus, but when we look at our supply chain, it means how complex it is. So, and over the years, as the business has grown, it has also continued to be complex. We have around 55 factories that are spread across the globe, 55 factories that make actual cigarettes, and around 18 what we call leaf processing. So tobacco comes from a leaf. There's a way we have to thresh it. So we have a factory. In Kenya, we have a factory for producing, another one for leaf. So overall, in terms of, and we find we are around 180 markets across the group. 6 continents spread over. Now, when we come to talk about supply chain, when we are talking about the distribution of these products, we have like 100, we have over 500 touch points that each and every day we engage with, either the suppliers, consumers, and stuff like that. And all over, all this manufacturing have plus 500 machines, 500 plus machines. What happens when you have a demand? You have to ensure that that demand is well planned, isn't it? That you have the capacity to produce, you have the right equipment. So there is a whole team that is seated, centralized in various locations that look at that. And what we've gone to do is to centralize our supply systems such that we have hubs that are specifically looking at supply chain, and those roles are now at above market. And most important bit is when we come to sourcing, we're talking about 100 plus, 800 plus locations, 800 plus kind of suppliers. You need to know how do you manage all these suppliers to ensure that in your demand forecasting. So this is a context when we talk about our supply chain. That is the complexity. But what you find that over the years, if you look at the next slide, as an organization, we are transforming. we're moving from the 100-year-old to now a digital transfer, or a digital organization. And it's not an easy journey, as you've heard from the other presentations. So over the last couple of years, we've come up with specific areas that we want to focus in within the operations bit. And one of the things is then to say we want to ensure that we give a superior customer experience, and that is ensuring that we can have all the products available at each and every end market. So how do you do that? We need to synchronize our supply chain from sourcing to distribution to demand forecasting. So two areas that we are focusing on is expanding our supply chain integration. And when we expand this, it means that we can be able to rationalize our working capital, reduce our working capital. And the same bit is ensure that we are expanding our consumer base. As I mentioned, we are moving just from the tobacco products into the new categories. In Kenya, we had lift for some short period of time. But we have known that these customers, they are not like our daily cigarette customers. So we had in Kenya, we were trying to work with the Jumia to see if it can be a distribution point, and it was working. So how do we ensure that we get our customers, because these are the young generation? And at the end of the day, when we try to introduce a new product, you guys, you know how long it takes, how much investment it takes, and what happens if it does not pick up. So, and out of that, then we talk about the transformation element. Then this is where IT is involved, because we want to be able to bring digital to be able to have our products digitally enabled from the time you're designing them to the time you're disposing them. So in that, it will help us, the moment we talk about transformation, we can be able to do better decision making, real-time supply chain visibility in terms of within all the fragmented markets. So you'll find right now, before the project that we are to discuss, we only knew at the national level what is our forecasting. But we now need to go to the distributor. How is the distributor performing? The distributor, who are his top customers? How can we help better forecast that element? And the same change in terms of responsiveness. You'll find it used to take around 2 to 3 months, but we want to reduce it into a number of days, and we can be able to react as it comes. And at the same time, when you talk to marketing, they say we want to get into the market faster. But you tell them, for us to produce this product, we need to source something from A, B, C, D. These are the lead times. So we want to be able to give the marketing team a good snapshot of where we are at and how fast we can be able to go to the market. And at the same time, in terms of cross-functional. Now, on the next slide, so what we did is, globally, and this is a project that started 3 years ago, we started looking at our supply chain. Which are the areas that we can be able to streamline and bring some bit of savings? So over the last 3 years, we've been able to do a significant savings of around 125 million pounds. Why? Because we can be able to rationalize our SKUs, we can be able to have better contracts with our suppliers and stuff like that. But those are the quick wins. Now, from there, we talk about digital transformation. And this is a challenge. Today, there is a person who is called a demand forecaster. A demand forecaster, what are the key areas that he or she will look at? What is my market data? What is my sales data? What is my stock data? How are these? And he would take all these Excel worksheet and try to figure out, okay, from this, what is my demand for the next 3 months? All right, so everything is done on an Excel worksheet, and then from there you give to the boss and say, you know what, this is possible the demand that will be. So what happens when it's inaccurate? You either order too much, all right, and meaning that there is raw materials there, working capital goes up, isn't it? Or you are in out of stock situations because the materials have run out or the demand is higher than you can be able to do it. So what we came, this project that we're talking about demand forecasting, the element is then to look at how can we be able to synchronize the data that is coming from finance, the data that is coming from the sales, those other outliers, competition, we are looking at the competition and all those bits data. Feed them into one system Then from there, the work of a forecaster or demand forecaster is then to create the scenarios and to input the outlier data. All right? So it means that the data will always be flowing from our sales system. The data will always be flowing from finance and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, this guy does not need to have worksheet, does not need to have Excel worksheet. And all these scenarios that we look at, then they are already saved into the system. So he just need to adjust the outliers. And what that information that means that if we are able to, probably go to the next previous slide. Yes, so what we did is then we partnered with a company called Kinaxis. This is a global company that is very good from a supply chain point of view. And what we needed to do is the goal of the project was to enhance our supply chain process and a solution that can be able to deliver leading edge capabilities. And the goal is then we can be able to do it faster. We can be able to identify issues faster, the risks, and manage them, and also respond to the customer demands. Because one time, we brought lift here, and within 2 weeks, it was out of stock. Then how long does it take to restock, and you're importing them? Another three weeks. So now with this, we can be able to manage the demand that is coming through. So the company is called Accenture. It's a global company. And now they have those advanced analytics solutions with them. And I think it will help us to be able to manage the demand that was coming through. So out of that, the whole goal of the project in our next slide, so as mentioned, the aim, and our case for change was one. We have a lot of working capital that is being held by our raw materials, isn't it? And the finished goods. So if then we have the accurate demand, we can be able to forecast that, then it will help us reduce, all right, our working capital. And the other bit is with the new categories, there's a lot of change in the market pattern. So we need to be able to pick it as early as possible so that we can respond to it. And the other bit, we need to, we launch a product, is not working, so what is that? That is a write-off, all right? Some of those raw materials that we use, they also have time period in terms of their lifespan. So if you order too much, then you need to write off. If your product is not working well in the market, you need to write off. And the other bit is, if then my demand forecasting was off, then I'll have an out-of-stock situation. So that is the area that we are trying to reduce. And then in terms of portfolio transformation, as mentioned, as we are transforming an organization, we're also looking at our products. If you go right now, we no longer have Sportsman, but we now have Roadmans by Sportsman. All right? So these are the bit that we are saying we are trying to reduce our portfolio, meaning that we'll also end up having less suppliers, and we're also going to be more efficient in our processes. And the last bit is also to respond to our ESG, as now every global company is talking about ESG. We want to reduce our carbon footprint. We want to reduce on the number of materials that we use for all our products. So everything is geared towards that. And at the end of the day is to be able to make better quality, data-driven decision on how to invest in materials and resources to satisfy the future customer and the stakeholders. All right? So, so the question will be, why Kinaxis is the solution that we've talked to from Accenture? And one of the main reasons is it gives us the capability to have the end-to-end supply chain visibility, because on the same system, you'll be able to integrate it with your supplier. And the question is, you are planning to do a new product launch, or your demand has risen. How do you know that your supplier has capability? How do you know that the supplier can be able to deliver within the timelines that you are talking about? How do I know how long I need to, and this we saw it, and it was very impactful when we had the Suez Canal issue, because our baseline was within 24 days, the product will be here. Now we are saying even 24 days cannot be our baseline. So we are talking of probably another 60 days for us to get it. So what does that mean? It means that that's a risk. So what is the contingency measures? We can be able to look around. Can we get it from another, maybe South Africa, which is closer? So those are the areas that it helps us to be able to see end-to-end of the supply chain and make those immediate decisions. Then in terms of control, you can be able to set the models, very much market-specific needs and launch dates, and this solution will be able to tell you what is the right kind of decision you need to make. And as I also mentioned, in terms of data, and I'll show you the architecture, is that you are able to get all your data from all the sources. And bring them together and then feed them into Kinaxis. And even what we are talking about market-specific data, we are talking about research data, you can be able to input into this. And in terms of concurrent planning, so as I mentioned, planning is important, but one of the challenges that we ever get is how do you connect your demand with the inventory? And how do you connect your inventory to your supplier? And how do you connect your demand to how the market is responding to your product versus the competition, versus the price increase that you want to take? So you put all these data or scenarios into your solution, and it gives you a near 90% accuracy in terms of your planning. And also, to run our supply and demand models, more or less touching on that. But at the end of the day, is to be able then to be build a better tomorrow. As I mentioned, the key area that we are focusing on when we talk about Kinaxis is to be able to have a superior product consumer moments and product availability. It will help us to make bold decisions, faster decisions, empower our employees, because this guy was having multiple Excel worksheets, and the complaints that I used to get is my machine is slow. Because he's running 10 Excel worksheet that is open, because he's running scenarios, data coming from here. And then the data is not as accurate as possible. So he's very empowered then from a diverse and responsibility point of view. Now, I'm almost summing up in terms of our design approach. As I mentioned, this is a global system, so it's also from a global approach. Our main ERP is SAP. This is where you'll get all your financial data that it will be coming within the BAT network. So you get your financial data, get your planning data, and then down here is, and you see different markets have different systems. So in Kenya, we have a system that we use for the sales. So it will help you to capture the sales, and it's at the distributor's level. But that data automatically, you've created links that is now being fed into an EDP outbound layer. Then out of EDP, there is the extraction and transformation that is happening. And you see different end markets. It's a global solution. South Africa are there, UK is there, South Korea. All this data will be fed depending on the system that they use. And at the end of the day is we be able to get into Kinaxis, this data, various sources, sales data, financial data. You can also be able to input competition data, market data, put it in the system, and it will help you being able to create scenarios. And the good thing is now this is live, interconnected. So at the end of the day, there's data that will flow. So tomorrow, if someone is creating a scenario, it's based on what is the current data that we've got. All right. So what is the business outcome when we are looking at all this kind of transformation? And when we look at the business outcomes that we expected, is the improved forecasting, and also in terms of the cycle, how long it takes for you to be able to create a scenario. It's highly reduced. Then there's the collaboration. Before, if you ask marketing, what was your sales yesterday? I need to do some bit of analysis to get that. But now you can be able to bring all these functions together for a collaboration together. And also to integrate demand functions with other supply chain. Now, as I mentioned, in terms of anytime now we are talking of new product, it's very easy, because either you are depending on the previous data that is on the system, and you can also be able to get data from your suppliers to be able to make the right decision. Now, in terms of coordination, we are looking to maximize our revenue opportunities. That means that if we are able to manage our out-of-stock situations that we get, or we can be able to spot and say, your market rate, the burn rate is higher than, we can be able to adjust that. So it means that the opportunities that we are going to exploit, and at the end of the day is also to ensure that we have improved visibility, communication, and execution of events, because what happens when you have promotions? how does that impact? Because at times, business is not performing and we say we are going to do a promotion. Yet, when you are planning your demand, there was no promotion that was focused on, that was factored in. So these are the scenarios that is going to help us to be able to do that. Within ESSA, as a group, we are looking at probably delivering 35 million pounds back to the business in terms of savings out of this demand forecasting. And I think we can be able to deliver that within the next 3 years. So this is a solution that we have already committed. We have already started seeing the results. And by default, our goal is to hand back the money to the business so that we can invest in the new categories rather than having it lying as part of the inventory. So how did we get there? I think one of the biggest challenges we were trying to resolve is on the data. And I think as we are talking about transformation, data is important, but also it depends where is your data, how is it the right kind of data, is it the right quality? So the thing is, get your data right as early as possible. So even if right now you don't have a massive project, however small it is, ensure that that is the right kind of data that you need to have. If you're talking to your distributors or integrating to your distributors, ensure that they capture the right kind of data into your system. Then, from an agile methodology, no longer waterfall, now we are moving into the agile, we're able to deliver this. And alignment of our project with key business KPLs, so we had to align with that. Then, what happened is, we did a simulation approach before we went live. And it enabled the user to be able to interact with the system and try to create some bit of simulations before you go live, so that you can help them. The moment they go live, then they can be able to run this on their own. So a simulation approach was very important. And I think definitely the last stage is continuous and learning and improvements. We are an organization that is, so it was done in phases. So we were able to learn what other regions, the lessons they picked, and from there we were able to implement. And when we did that, also share what could have been better or what went well. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of my presentation. I think I'm not extended. Any questions? Do we have time for questions? All right. If there might be any questions. Yes.
So thanks for the great presentation. I think it's a very nice project.
Thank you.
So what is the role of Accenture in this project?
So Accenture are the solution owners.
Oh,
Yeah, the solution owners. Yes. Yep. And the good thing is on the cloud. So there is no investment in terms of capex on our side. So it's purely on the cloud. Yep.
Are you using SAP for the analytics or from ERP?
ERP. But we have the business warehouse, yeah? Part of that, yeah. All right. Thank you. Yes?
What version is the SAP?
We are ACC 6.0, I think 6.0. Yeah, if I'm not wrong. Same, yep. All right, thank you for your time. I'm available just in case for any questions, yeah?